Duh. Welcome, everyone, to a live show about me, Grail Games, and I keep looking at the screen, but I should be looking at you, the viewers. Welcome. I've never done this before. I don't know how it works. I don't even know what live means. Well, I sort of do. There's no one here, but I expected that. So please ask your questions in the comments. I think there's a place to put your questions. I don't see that, but I should have tested that. Okay, I see that. So I'm gonna type. It's not letting me type, but I would say, oh wait, not now. Not now. Hi, ask me a question. So you type that and then you get to ask me a question. But I knew no one would be here because I'm not popular. So I watched some other Q&A videos. So this is a Q&A video. You can ask me questions about Grail Games, about board games, about anything. But I looked at some other Q&As and so I have some questions here while we wait for people, okay? So this was asked of some other board game, like a podcast or something, and I wrote them down. I forget who it was. What's your favorite pie? It's not really game related, but so I don't know. I know that in America they got lots of pies. I remember when we lived there, I used to like pumpkin pie. But here we don't really do that. We got meat pies. That's it, just meat pies. Or you could get an apple pie in the freezer section, but it's not like you can go to a place and get pies unless it's a meat pie. I mean, someone out there saying, oh, I go get pies all the time. I don't know where that is. But when you get a meat pie, it might just be a meat pie. It might have mushroom in it. Might have herbs on the top or potato, like a, what do they call that? Not a fisherman's pie. Shepherd's pie. The fisherman of the land. The shepherd's pie. So yeah. Okay, next question. That was a good one. So yeah, Marvel movies. What's your favorite one? I've not watched any. Actually, I watched Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1. All right. It was okay. I don't remember it. He had a light in his chest, which didn't turn on. Well, it was on, but it wasn't a light. All right. Blood Rage or Rising Sun. They're two board games that are quite popular. I've never played them, so I can't answer that question. But if I was to pick one to put on my shelf, it would be Rising Sun because it's a positive thing, doesn't it? Rising Sun. Blood Rage is, I don't know. All right. Okay, this is dumb. So what I'm going to do is forget those questions. They're not for me anyway. I don't know if you know this, but Board Game Geek has a lot of archaic tools. They got rid of Tigris and Euphrates. You could play there, but there's still some other things. I'm going to go to Geek Questions and answer some of them. I'll just check if there's any questions in the chat thing. No, just checking. So what I'll do is, okay, I'll go to the recent questions. So Geek Questions, you can go to boardgamegeek.com and just ask questions of people. Let's see if these are good. Where do we go from here is the first question. Onwards and upwards. Onwards and upwards. Next one. Did you ever check the obituaries to see if your name is there? No, because I know I'm alive. I'm not in the obituaries, therefore I am. It's an old saying. I don't even know if obituaries exist anymore. I hardly ever see a newspaper anyway. I don't even get obituaries. Like, I don't need to tell. I guess you can tell people have died. But no, I don't go checking for me in there because I know I'm alive. Can we vote? Is the next question. Can we vote to have a presentless Christmas? Sure. But I guess that's up to your family, not the world. More things about presents. At what point does something become antique? Good question. When it's old. These aren't really about games. No, I'll keep going. Where are my homies? This is a question. Where are the lazy, materialistic, cynical Gen Xers? I think you just answered your own question. What is the type of antique hat that you consider the most beautiful? It's a deep question. I don't know antique hats. I guess a top hat, a pirate hat. They're not really beautiful. I don't know the names of hats. I'd really like a question about board games. Do you know that lactose intolerant people can still eat cheddar cheese because the process of becoming cheddar uses up the milk sugar, lactose? Sounds like a way to get some people to get sick, spreading rumors like that. It's probably true. It's on the internet. Skip all this. Did you used to trade your lunch food at school when you were a kid? No. I don't know about overseas. These are probably all from Americans, actually. Board Game Geek's pretty American. That was a Brazilian one before. I know in Australia there's the rules at school. You're not allowed to share your food at lunch. Allergies and stuff. If I made you a sandwich right now, it's the question, what would you want on it? Bread, and you go for it. What is the tiniest sandwich you have ever eaten? Don't know. Probably one that was cut up into 4 or something. There's a lot of questions here about lunch. How disappointing is it when lunch is provided and the sandwiches are cut into 4ths to accommodate everyone? It's going to taste the same. Just share. It's nice. What would you be more excited by? Free sandwiches or free pizza? Depends on the day. Where is the most uncomfortable place to have sand? In your mouth, in your ears. I don't know. Okay, if I don't get some board game questions soon, I'm dumping geek question. Do you know anyone who consumed sand as a child? I think every kid's eaten sand. Consumed implies that was on a large scale. No. What food did you last eat with sand in it? Don't know. Which sand makes for the worst sandwich? I don't even know if there's different types of sand. When performing a human sandwich, who do you prefer to be the bread? I don't even understand that question. How much sandwich do you expect from a free sandwich? Someone was given free sandwiches and offended that they were cut into quarters and there was sand in them. Okay, what ingredient besides the bread should be included in every respectable sandwich? Well, posh things, a respectable sandwich. In Australia, we just sort of put butter and a spread on a sandwich. I guess sometimes you might have like ham and go crazy and have lettuce and tomato. But I mean, again, someone's going to say, "Oh, I get these big sandwiches; they're great." But every house is different. I guess it's hard to talk generalistically across a whole culture, but we don't really do sandwiches like they do in America. I think there's more sandwich questions. It goes on and on and on. Should a sandwich involve fruit? Okay, yes, it could. Tomatoes are a fruit, but they are also a vegetable. I looked this up. Yes, they're a fruit. They've got seeds, blah, blah, blah. But they're considered a culinary vegetable. In other words, for cooking purposes, they're a vegetable. Best bread for sandwich. I don't know. Okay, good. Okay, here's a question. If I had these up on the screen, it would be good for you all that are watching, all of you. I don't think there's anyone here, but I don't know how to do that. So how many times has Polar Dad been run out of town? I don't know who that is. More things. When was the last time some jerk told you that there was a free lunch and then it turned out that, in fact, there was no free lunch? Okay, we're off lunch. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I don't know. Is it about Christmas? Is Die Hard 2 a Christmas movie? See previous answer. I'm just going to skip heaps here. Okay, here's a big one. I split my day between two schools. I receive emails from both. I just got an email that said a local sandwich restaurant donated lunch. Okay, I was starting to see where all those other questions came from. Donated lunch for all the teachers. I did not pay attention to which school it came from. When lunchtime arrived, I headed towards the office telling other teachers about our free lunch. We arrived to no sandwiches and secretaries that looked at us like we were crazy. Secretaries. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Wrong school. Would you like to guess how popular I am with my coworkers right now? 6 out of 10. What would Ponzi flavored ice cream taste like? Money. Okay. Just checking if there's any real questions. Oh, there's a real question. It's from someone called Doug Adams. I know that guy. Digitally. Hi, David. Just saying hi. That's not a question. Great. Oh, I'll try and think of a question. Ooh. Can't wait. So Doug Adams was just on an episode of Board Games to Go. Probably the best. I'm looking it down there, but I should be looking at the camera. Probably the best board game related podcast ever. But I haven't listened to it yet. Actually, it was about Doug recently played like 500 Knizia games or something. It was really cool. He did a blog. And then at the end, he posted on Twitter, here's like some Knizias I don't want anymore. Who would like them? And I said I'd like one of them. And he said, I'll give you all of them for free. So Doug Adams, if you're still watching, I can't tell because I don't know how this thing works. This is like the first time. Thank you for coming and for those free games. Oh, awesome. Well, they were pretty good. I haven't played all of them. Thanks for coming. I am writing to Doug Adams. Nice guy. He lives in Australia too. All right. Do we really want to go back to geek question? Look, I'll give it 2 more minutes. And if Doug Adams, if he's still here, if he comes up with another question, I will answer it. Otherwise, yeah, 2 minutes. Then, because this must be thrilling, but it's not for me. These geek questions are a bit. Okay. More questions that are irrelevant. I really want one about board games. What were you like in 6th grade? Well, here we call it year 6. What was I like? I don't know. Skip. Okay, here's a question I like. Why don't we ask more questions about games? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. J.R. Tolf. Excellent question. Here's one. If you had to sell one game from your collection, what would you choose? Well, I sell games all the time. Have you ever mixed a potion that exploded? Great, we're off game. I guess that's a game, potion explosion. No, I've never mixed a potion. Skip. What is your favorite Uwe Rosenberg game? Finally, an interesting, good question. My favorite Uwe Rosenberg game, he's a board game designer, although if you are watching this and you don't know who he is, I mean, I don't know. I don't think anyone... Doug Adams probably knows who Uwe Rosenberg is. He's watching. Doug. Peeps. Uwe Rosenberg, I used to think it was Agricola. It's probably Glass Road. Oh, Le Havre or Glass Road. I'm not usually into big, heavy games, but Le Havre is really cool. Your turn is quite small, even though the game is quite big. It's a game about shipping stuff and collecting resources and buying buildings, really. But I really like that. But Glass Road is really quick, plays really well solo, and you can try lots of different strategies. And guess what? I have questions from the Doug. Okay, best game played in the past month. Mine is probably SEAL Team Flicks. Tough and very well done. You know what? I've never heard of SEAL Team Flicks. I don't even know what those words mean. I'm sorry. I will look it up, I promise, but not now because it's not great TV. Yes, this is TV. Best game played in the past month. I'd have to look, but I played a game called Historia for the first time, which I've always wanted to play. It came out probably 2015, 2016. It's a Civ game, and it looks like a spreadsheet on the table, but I actually really love the look of it. But the really cool thing about it is the card play. It's an action selection-y thing. So look that out. So if anyone out there is interested, Doug Adams' most played Uwe is Space Beans. Is that a Bonanza thing? I'm trying to think. I know the name. And his favorite Uwe game is Patchwork, which I liked, but I don't own it. And his favorite, no, Doug Adams. This is the Doug Adams show. I love it. Uwe, I want to play more of. Feast for Odin. I've never played it myself. It looks scary to me. I'd try it once for sure, but because I like Uwe Rosenberg games a lot, but I have not played that one. Trying to think. So on the shelf, oh, here's a great one for people to try. I love Agricola. I really love Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small, the 2-player game. Don't know why it's not All Creatures Great and Small, because that's the name of the song, but All Creatures Big and Small. But there was a one that came out a year or so ago called Agricola Family Edition that just no one heard about because they thought it was just basic Agricola, but it's all new. And it's like Agricola in that it's worker placement and you're farming and stuff, but it's much more easygoing and relaxing, and it has this 3D thing where the tiles you build, like your paddocks and your house and that, are all different shapes. Not quite tetranomenos, but you put them together like that, so it's like spatial as well. It's quite quick and fun. I really like it. Doug Adams has not said anything else, so we'll move on. Thank you, Doug. You saved the show. Why must... Okay, I'm not going to... Do you naturally float or sink? Float. I'm back to geek questions. I didn't mention that. No. Are you in a bold, underline, or italic mood today? None. I don't use them. I find showiness pretentious. On a scale of New Zealand to Hawaii, how much do you hate time zones? Actually, scale of New Zealand to Hawaii is tiny. They'd only be like 1 or 2 time zones off each other. You want to say, or am I wrong? Maybe you cross the whole day. That's the point. Okay, so I would say on a scale from California to... Actually, it doesn't matter where you stand. Okay, how much do you hate time zones? I don't love them, but it's important because I don't want to be nocturnal. Quick. I got to get a board game question or I'm going to just start talking about what Grail Games is on about. Do you have any German incense smokers? Don't know what that is. Favorite non-asymmetrical game with variable player powers not named Pandemic. Favorite non-asymmetrical game. Does that favorite symmetrical game with variable player powers? I guess Cosmic Encounter. That's got variable player powers and it's really fun, usually. I'm getting off geek question. I don't know. All right. So let's go back to, I don't know. I'll get back to the questions that I ripped off another Q&A. If Doug's still there, what's your favorite Knizia game? Doug? Okay, what's happening right now? So Boomerang is a card drafting game that feels like a roll and write game. It's a small card game that is coming out in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Kickstarted it a few months ago, got to the backers early. It's set in Australia, I guess. You're touring around Australia. The artwork's based on like 1940s Australian printing styles. It's really cool. It's by Scott Almes, the Tiny Epic designer. He's not tiny and epic. He designs games called Tiny Epic blah. Not Tiny Epic blah, but like fill in the gap. He hasn't done anything called fill in the blank, but you know what I'm talking about. That's coming out soon. And also Stevenson's Rocket will be out at retail soon, but it's been a nightmare. people who are still waiting for that game, there's a couple of hundred. Doug's one of them, actually, I think. I feel like yuck about it. I don't want to talk about it or think about it. I'm afraid. Just know that your games are in good hands and will be shipped to you ASAP. And so don't worry about that they're not missing, but they're coming. Doug wrote his favorite Knizia game is Taj Mahal. Guess what? So I've got 2 or 3 games that I consider to be games I should have played or should try that I haven't, and Taj Mahal is one of those games. I've never played it. It's probably the one obvious Knizia game I've never played. My brother has it, but because it needs a few players and it's quite long and many modern people say it looks antique, we haven't played it. But I would really like to play it. It sounds like it would be right up my alley. For me, it's hard to say what my favorite would be. Out of new ones, I really love Blue Lagoon and Lost Cities Rivals a lot. If I was to really, really, really commit to something, I love Ingenious. I love Great Wall of China. I love Trendy. I love High Society. Voodoo Prince is another great one that he came out recently. It's a trick-taking game that's really clever because you want to go out at a certain point. You don't want to be last. People go out. It's not at different times, and it's really clever. Doug has talked to me. Has Sydney dried out yesterday after the weather event 2 days ago? Weather event. Dun, dun, dun. So Sydney had a huge storm the other day. It was just a lot of rain. Like, the weird thing was it was huge, massive thunderstorms at like 8 a.m. in the morning. Usually they sort of happen at night. So it was really wet day, but it dried out. Like, it stopped raining that night, I think. It wasn't. What I don't like about rain is when it rains for 2 or 3 days and you just feel depressed because it's dark and wet and you can't do stuff. So yeah, Sydney's dried out. Thanks for asking. And Doug's written another question. Oh, a statement. So yeah, so this is turning into the Doug and David show, which sounds pretty cool to me, but actually no one else is watching, so who cares? So yeah, a little while ago, I helped Doug trade a newer Knizia Amphipolis with my brother, who had it. It's a pretty good game. It's over. Oh, I got to be careful. It's quite. I don't want to say overly produced, but it's in a big box. It could have been a little thing. It's a really good game. Knizia I have not played a game of his I hate. I've played some that I didn't like that much, but hate's a strong word. And Amphipolis I quite liked. Doug's out. I'm going to just type to him, thanks so much, Doug. All right, the rest of you who are not here, thanks, Doug. See you, you're the best. Don't know what you look like, which is cool. No offense. It's just cool. Internet is cool, right? Just going to quickly answer one more question, I think. It's not really a question. Oh, it was. Someone asked. I get a lot of emails from people asking about, not a lot, but sometimes people will email me and in them there's something about Grail Games' size or what it's on about. And Grail Games is like, it's not like, someone emailed me the other day asking me to forward an email onto my press desk, which is very flattering, but this is the only desk. Yeah, in fact, like, I'm not knocking anyone, but the board game industry is really small. It's mostly people just doing passion projects continually. Like, if you look at the list of games that came out at Essen, not counting reprints or re-releases or first German edition, there's, I don't know, 700-800 games probably. And I reckon over half, maybe 2/3 of that are from people that put out one game a year for fun, or 2 games a year. That sort of stuff is never gonna get your kids millionaires. So it's just how it is. It's a small world. Most games, if you didn't know, probably printed 3,000 copies ago. Bigger companies, definitely 5,000 ago, just to see how it goes. And then probably you won't see it again. It's not like it's, millions of copies, or there's probably millions of gamers, but the games get spread around. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't even know if that was a question. I see I've got 25 minutes done. We might just stop at 30 minutes. Doug might still be here. I don't know. Well, someone's here. Hello, whoever you are. If it's not Doug, thanks for coming. If it is Doug, thanks for coming. How about I go through my favorite awkward moments on camera? No. Oh, it is Doug. Doug is still here. I don't know what to talk about. So thanks for coming by. You're all awesome. You're all my favorite. You're all fantastic. Thank you for buying 20 copies each of King's Road. Thank you for buying 20 copies each of, all the other 20 odd games I've put out, and one good game. 20 odd games, 20 or so games. Thanks, everyone. You're all awesome. But this was a fun test, and I answered lots of questions. If you missed it, sorry, you missed hundreds of questions I answered. But it's time for me to go eat my lunch, hopefully with no sand in it, and I'm going to cut it up into quarters just to do it, to share it with myself, because I'm that kind of guy. I'm generous. All right, we might do this again sometime.